What's happening, everyone? Steve here, Cars with Steve, and today I'm going to show you everything you need to know about the steering wheel and the instrument cluster in the 2021 Ford Escape S. Now this is the entry level, so the base Escape, so there's not too much to this. So let's dive into it, have a little bit of fun, and figure out what's going on with the steering wheel and the instrument cluster inside of the Escape. Next up, let's take a peek at the steering wheel of the vehicle. So this is actually fairly straightforward. It's not as difficult as you might think. So starting off with the left-hand side there, this is going to be the basics for our audio, so we can either increase or decrease the actual volume. We can mute out from there. And this is going to be the basics for our cruise control. So we're going to turn cruise on, we can set it at our speed, increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time by moving this up or down. And we can also cancel it out there very simply. Along the right-hand side, we've got a series of different options that are available. So we can either change between songs or radio stations, we can answer or hang up on a phone call. We've got our voice command prompt as well, so we can do things like change radio stations, make a phone call, etc. So we've got a little bit of flexibility there. We can kind of see what's going on with the screen off to the right-hand side there. So when we press that button there, and we can simply cancel it out if we want to. Now, we also do have these buttons. So this is going to be our basic back button for this middle screen. This is going to be the up-down in order to get between different sub-screens. And then this is going to be our sub-menu button as well. So we can push that in order to get into a few other options. So let's kind of start off with our first one, so our trip counter. So we've got our basic trip counter. If we want to reset, we're just going to press and hold this middle button on the steering wheel. So as you can see there, reset all values for us. And then we can press this button along the top right to change between our trip 1, trip 2. We can reset views, configure the view as well. So if we wanted to have different things show up, like our fuel, distance to empty, things like that, those will all show up as other options there. Moving down, we've got our basic SOA, we've got our kilometer, so digital speedometer. We can have that showing up. We've got our eco coach, and we've got a few other things. So we can literally select whatever we want to on this specific screen. Moving down a bit more, we've got some basics for driver assistance. So we've got our traction control, which we can easily toggle on or off. Our blind spot system lets us know if anybody's under the blind spot on either side of the vehicle. We've got our pre-collision assist system, so if the vehicle senses a potential collision, it's actively going to brake for us, and we can turn that system off if we want to. Lane keeping system, we've got 3 different modes, so our alert is going to give us a little bit of a steering wheel shake, almost as if we're running over rumble pavement. The aid is actually going to balance us back out, and it's going to kind of bump us back into our lane. So if we start to veer over without signaling, it's going to just pull us back into our lane for us, and then the alert and the aid will do both. So it'll shake the steering wheel and gently nudge us back into our lane. We've got the intensity of the actual steering wheel shake itself. We've got our driver alert, so if we veer over too many times, we're going to get a message letting us know we should probably take a break. And then we've also got our cross-traffic alert. So as we go to back up, if the vehicle senses that there's a potential collision because somebody's coming to our left or right, it's going to let us know of a potential collision there as well. Moving down, we've got the ability to change between AM, FM, etc. If we had a USB stick with MP3s on it, that would show up. If our cell phone was connected there as well, that would also show up as an audio source. Moving down, we've got our phone. If that was connected, it would show up. And we've got some other vehicle settings. So basic information, we've got our seatbelt, so we can see what seatbelt is currently plugged in. We've got our auto start stop, so it lets us know if that system's activated or not. Our driver alert, so as we get notifications, that's going to continue to go up until it reaches the very top, letting us know we should probably take a break. We've got our My Key info. So My Key lets you do certain things, so give you certain limitations for the actual fob itself, so we can easily, if you want to, set a certain speed limit. So if someone driving with a specific fob, maybe you can't go more than 100 kilometers an hour. So you've got that flexibility. And we've also got our tire pressure and then our oil life. So we can just move up and down between the screens there. I'm just kind of going back and forth to let you know which each one is. Moving back again, we've got our basics for our display. So we can go between English, Spanish, French. We've got our liters per 100, miles per gallon, etc. Celsius and Fahrenheit as well. And from there, we've got some driver assistance settings, which we've already seen these things. So our traction control, blind spot system, etc. We've got other vehicle settings there as well. So we've got our basic vehicle lighting. Hopping inside, we've got our auto lamp delay. So when we go to lock the vehicle, how long do the lamps stay on for? So I believe it's 10, 20, or 120 seconds. Back again, and let's move down. We've got our locks. So what's going on with the lock? So vehicle auto unlock, yes or no? Do we want to have a mislock chirp? So if we don't properly shut the doors, will we get a chirp letting us know about that? When we go to remote unlock the door, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver door? And then we've got our switch inhibitor as well. Remote start. So on the fob itself, we actually don't have remote start on the fob, but we can remote start using the ForwardPass app, or we can do an aftermarket remote start install. But when we remote start, what happens? Is the system off completely? For climate, do we let the vehicle determine what the cabin temperature should be, or is it based off of our last settings? And what's the duration, 5, 10, or 15 minutes? We've got our wiper, so courtesy wipe. So if we've got our wipers going, it's going to take 1 second after the last wipe, and then it's going to clear away any excess liquid with one more wipe. And then we've got our reverse wiper. So do we want the reverse wiper on? Yes, no. When we're in reverse, and that's going to be the basics of our vehicle settings. And then we've got the My Key setup, and that's where we're going to go in order to set up the actual My Key. And then we're back to our basic trip counter there as well. So that's going to be the basics of navigating the steering wheel. If we look just to the left-hand side there, so that stick there, we've got a button just on the very tip of the stick. That's going to turn the lane keeping system on or off. We've got our high beam flash there as well. Looking at the stick on the right-hand side, that's going to be the basics for our windshield wipers. So we can adjust the speed there. We can pull in towards us for the front wiper fluid, push away for the rear. And then we've also got our rear wiper control there. So we can adjust the rear wiper by moving this up or down if we want to. So very, very straightforward.